But here's where we start to see yet another curious shift again. So even as the overt racism and anti-urbanism became harder to market, especially in Britain, okay, so these ideologues pivoted their message. So instead of making the case for the purity of the people, which again was a disturbing concept for a lot of people, they now start talking about the purity of the soil. And this is where we get, that idea of blood and soil really takes on a double meaning. So in their minds, in the minds of people like Leamington, organic soil and the organic man were one and the same. So if the land was tainted, the people would be too. And so they claims erroneously that modern scientific farming was killing Britain's earth. And this, by the way, Patrick, wasn't even true. Okay. Farming in the interwar years was in a depression. Fields weren't being tilled. In fact, many were left to grazing, which naturally manured the soil. But facts were never really the point here. These people weren't interested in agronomy, they were interested in ideology. And yet, the problem they kept running into was that scientists did have the facts. They test plots, they had field data, they had experimental stations. So the organic crowd decided that, okay, if they have those things, then we need our own. So they start saying that we need our own research station to prove these concepts. And so in 1939, you have a Lady Eve Balfour, this aristocrat, radical, and fellow anti-modernist, who volunteers her estate for what became the Hawley experiment.
And this experiment, John, is often pointed to as a kind of landmark moment in organic agriculture. Am I right?
Yeah, exactly.
But in truth, it wasn't remotely scientific.
No.
There was no rigorous control of variables, no blind testing, no repeatability. It wasn't an experiment. It was a performance, to say, right? A symbolic gesture, attempting to demonstrate the traditional methods just felt better, right? And Lady Eve Balfour made no secret of her distrust. Indeed, her disdain for science.